There's an interesting quarterback conversation. We actually mentioned this a little bit in the last episode, but I wanted to talk about this, since way back in the draft, and now that we got the show back, it's still the off season, so we don't quite know. It's the perfect time, and it's what's going on with Cleveland. What are they going to do with their five quarterbacks? And we've said all five quarterbacks. And if you're not familiar, who's on Cleveland's roster. Well, they still have Deshaun Watson, but he might be out all year because he retore his ACL. They have Kenny Pickett, the former Steelers first round draft pick. They have Shedeur Sanders, rookie, slid all the way to the fifth round, as I'm sure most sports fans are well aware of, and maybe had some laughs at. And then Dillon Gabriel, who is from Oregon, who was also drafted earlier in that draft. And who was the fifth one? I am completely blanking.
I am too. We should have
Jake,
been
you're
better
gonna have to
prepared.
save us on this one. It's gonna come to me, but
Joe Flacco. Have
it
you
is
said
Joe
Joe Flacco?
Flacco. Hey, there we go. Yes, it's
The
Joe
wily
Flacco.
veteran.
Joe Flacco, who's been since 2019, since he left the Ravens, has been like pretty much everywhere, including the Browns 2 years ago, is back. So
Leading them to that magical playoff run.
yeah, no, yeah, definitely. They did get blown out in the wild card, but it's taking the Browns to the playoffs. I mean, that's magical in itself.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, so they have those five. Watson's sort of out of the picture because he's got the ACL and he's likely to just get cut. The Browns are finally at a point where they can just eat his salary and cut him. But with the rookies, it's like, is one of them gonna get cut in camp? Are they hoping the Flacco magic is back? Even though I think he might have already turned 40. Maybe someone could double check that later. Kenny Pickett, like what? I guess just I'll give more thoughts, but I guess just initial thoughts, like how you guys see that going out.
Yeah, well, I think obviously Deshaun Watson, I think if you think about Deshaun Watson wasn't playing good before his ACL injury last year.
That's an
And
understatement.
with the news of him tearing his ACL again, I think the Browns just cut Flacco or just cut Watson and go down the full quarterback. I think they cut Flacco as well, because they need to trim down this roster anyway. So I think they ride with Pickett, Sanders, and Gabriel on the team for this year. I think Pickett will be the either the second or third string quarterback. I don't think there's any way Pickett starts. But I think the battle comes down to Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. You know, obviously Shedeur Sanders, highly touted prospect from Colorado, didn't go as high in the NFL draft as many would have anticipated. Dillon Gabriel was obviously drafted in the third round. You know, like many people thought he was going to be. He would have been drafted late, but I think Dillon Gabriel was the better college quarterback, honestly. I think Dillon Gabriel starts over Shedeur Sanders.
So to me, I think it's clear the Browns won't go into the season with five quarterbacks, right? I mean, that's unheard of in the NFL. So I think Deshaun Watson will be cut, Joe Flacco as well, and like Jake said, the three quarterbacks on the roster will be Sanders, Gabriel, and who are we?
Sanders, Gabriel, Kenny
Kenny
Pickett,
Pickett.
Yeah,
Flacco.
Pickett,
Yeah,
Pickett.
yeah,
Thank you,
Kenny Pickett. Yeah,
thank you.
I know we're
Um,
sort of irrelevant, but we got to
yeah,
remember.
Yeah.
sorry to Kenny if you're
Now he
watching this.
wasn't Mr.
Um,
Irrelevant. That goes to Brock Purdy.
you can go beat Evan. That's fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, I mean, he can play better if he wants. Okay, so what I would say to this is I agree with most of what you're saying. I'm surprised about the Flacco hate though. Not the Flacco hate, but like you guys think
yeah,
he's
we're
the
not
odd,
hating on him.
yeah. You guys think he's the odd man out. I think you're right about Watson. Watson's sort of a non-factor. They need to the PR team and is just bad enough around him and like and he's just not playing. He was literally the worst quarterback in the league last year while he was playing. So they're gonna get rid of him. So it brings it down to four. You guys are also right that they're probably not going to have four. Well, no, they definitely will not have four quarterbacks going into the season. Um, and I do agree that it likely will come down to the rookies long term, but I don't think the Browns actually have a plan. I think in classic Cleveland fashion, they have no idea what they want to do. Like you could say, well, Evan, they have all these quarterbacks, they're just going to try, but deep down, They want to get 3 wins and they want to go for Arch Manning next year, or whenever he comes out. And I'm like, no, Cleveland does not have a plan. They have no idea what they're doing. So they just decide to draft everybody and see how it works out. And honestly, that's not terrible if you have no idea what you're doing, because one of them could pan out. So I think with the four quarterbacks outside of Watson, I think Kenny Pickett will get cut. No offense to Kenny Pickett, but first round draft bust. He's good enough to be a backup, but he out of the other three, there's really no promise with him. Flacco, you had the playoff run 2 years ago. You have two rookies who are unknown qualities. Kenny Pickett seems like the odd man out. Unless if one of like Shedeur or Dillon Gabriel just does really bad in preseason. So I think the Browns have no plan, but I do agree with Jake, I think, who said that this year I think Flacco is still good enough that they might sort of ride with him. But then after that, I think they're sort of banking on one of Shedeur or Dillon Gabriel being serviceable, which I don't know if they will. And I just want to add last thing that Sanders was definitely not their plan. And that if he was their plan, he would have been gone in the second round. He was not their plan at all to take him in the fifth.
Yeah, I definitely think that, like Evan said, if he was the Browns' plan, that he would have been taken earlier. I think what happened with the Browns was, they were drafting, and he was just sitting there in the fifth round. So they're like, oh, well, why not? And also to Evan's point of, the Browns don't really have a plan. Just look at all the starting quarterbacks they've had in the last few years, right? I believe there's like 15 starting quarterbacks since
Right.
like 2010 or something.
Yeah, I mean in 2000 I saw a t-shirt like of all the Browns quarterbacks like on a t-shirt and it's like 40 something quarterbacks. All right, I don't know if people can see the name, but Jake changed his name to J Doggy Dog. So I want J Doggy Dog to weigh in on the dogs.
Okay, hang on. Come on.
Hey, I
Okay, so where I get that from is Jordan always goes around the house being like, I want to be called Jake Doggy Dog. And everybody says that nobody calls him that. That's where that comes from. Okay, I get that for Jordan.
All right, well, Jay Doggy Dog, I want you to weigh in on another dog. As we're gonna stay with Cleveland and we're gonna talk a little bit more about Shedeur Sanders. He has been caught. It's not been a good June. It was not a good April for him, as we just talked about. Going from maybe being number two overall to the fifth round, drafted behind tons of quarterbacks. But now he's also getting caught speeding. He's getting caught in his first incident, he was going 91 and a 65. And then later on, I think just a couple days ago, he was going 101 and a 60. And I'm gonna give my quick thoughts on this and then throw it around. Because I see it as pretty simple. Um, Shedeur Sanders comes from a very rich family. I think, with that, you're a little bit more risky. Like I know some retired guys who like say like, "Oh yeah, I was just going 90 miles an hour and the cop just gave me another ticket, another $100, but I made like 150K on my career. I could just add it to the list. I'll pay it off, right?" And he's just going 10 or 15 miles over 20 or whatever, right? Like he's minding his own business, he's doing his own thing. So when you live in a family with wealth, with money, right? You get away with some things that other people can't do. I don't really want to lose $200 on a ticket right now, based where I am. I would like that lifestyle, but so my point with this is 91 to 65, 26 over. Yeah, that's pretty fast, right? But you could be iffy on that. But, and a lot of people like in a political sense, but just in general with, all of us being Americans, like we talk about freedom, right? And how I see freedom is you're free to do what you want to do as long as you're not infringing on somebody else. And when you're going 101 and a 60, or when you're smoking weed while driving, or if you're, I don't want to quote Stephen A. Smith, but stay off the weed, but or when you're obviously drinking and driving, right? When you're doing those things, you're putting other people in danger. When you're going 101, you're putting other people in danger, and that's where a line needs to be drawn. He's NFL quarterback, so unfortunately I doubt it will be. But yeah, speeding, if you could pay the ticket, that's fine. But 101 in a 60 is absolutely reckless, and he should be shamed for that. This is not what you want to be talking about going into the season. So very bad on Shedeur Sanders, I think, on my part. He's got to do better.
Yeah, this is very unfortunate for Shedeur before his NFL career really starts. I mean, it started when he got drafted, but this is a really bad look for him, going 101 to 60. Like Evan said, yes, you're putting other people in danger. That's where cops should really, enforce the laws, where you're putting other people in danger. So yeah.
J Dog,
Yeah,
you
I
got
think
way in.
obviously, I think there was the obvious thing that will that the Cleveland Browns are going to do, and that's to discipline him. I don't care if he comes from a rich family or if his dad is Deion Sanders, NFL legend. You go 101, you get caught twice speeding. You're putting other people's lives in danger. I mean, you have to get disciplined for that. And I think Browns need to discipline him for that because obviously going 101 is not okay. Putting other people's lives danger, putting other people's lives in danger. That's not
Like
okay.
I would say like okay, so 90 and a 65. That'd be the, like that'd be the max at 25 over and like a fast highway. But that'd be the max. I'm like, okay, you're just going fast, but you're in the left lane. You're not really endangering people. But past that, or like it also depends. Like I would say like a 40 and a 25, for example. That you're not going way over, but you're probably on a suburban street, like, with tons of people around, kids around. Like it depends where you are too. So like you can't go around in your neighborhood and be like, bro, I was just going 15 over. I'm like, yeah, but like Timmy's playing Foursquare. Like you got to be, you got to be careful. But so it depends on context. Again, if you can afford the tickets, that's fine. But yeah, I think 100 miles anywhere, no excuse.
Does it have to be Foursquare or can he be playing hopscotch? Out
Hopscotch,
there?
kickball. He can play Spud, the game where you throw it up and you try like hit it. Wow, I got to remember all those games. Yeah, but you do.
Maybe playing some spike ball?
Yeah, but you do not want to ruin those kids' fun. Absolutely not, because you can't you can't stop playing Mario Kart in real life. You do not want to ruin their fun.
Yeah.